Hail, legions of heaven! Hail, ascended masters! Hail, children of earth yearning to breathe the air of freedom! I, Michael, Lord of the archangels, charge forth the radiance of my presence into the dawn of this new activity, that the pulsations of protection shall be very firmly established, for the simple reason that the light of God that never fails cannot fail. And because it is fixed by cosmic law that the light of God cannot fail, and because it shall be the action of this activity to externalize the beautiful light of charity and love itself, it is impossible that it shall fail in any way. I am spreading over you the canopy of my love and my protection in the very beginning of this endeavor. The sword of blue flame is established high in the air over the city of Philadelphia, and its pulsations and radiation account for the great beauty of this day. For this is the day in which I have begun working with the life streams who shall form the first 3 points of the triangle of light. I assure you that there shall be 3 others to form the other 3 points of the triangle, making 6, and then to crown it with the presence of God in the middle, I shall give you a 7th. And so there shall be 7 which shall form the physical governing body of this organization. Hold high the chalices of your hearts. Bear in mind that the energies of the sons of heaven are not lightly given. It is so easy for people in the outer who tune in daily to radio programs and various releases of the physical octaves of consciousness to presume that it is equally easy for us to charge forth our energies. Little do they realize the tremendous effluvia of darkness. Little do they realize the tremendous waste material which has been cast off from human consciousness, through which we must move and through which we must drive our energies. Little do they realize the cosmic grant that we must secure before we can even be the bulwark of protection for an action such as this, even though it be linked to light and be intended for only good. It is still a great seeming sacrifice, in the sense that we must sublimate many things in you, and you yourselves must sublimate many things in yourself, that you may be able to be heaven's chalice. Do you realize, beloved, what a gracious opportunity this is, that you shall be a chalice of heaven, into which I, Michael, shall charge the ray of protection for the God plan made manifest in the highest activity since I first took the first race home? Do you realize the tremendous power of love externalized? You have often heard in the Scriptures, and now abideth faith, hope, and charity, but the greatest of these is charity. Now you shall have the opportunity to behold this same love, this same charity in cosmic action as it works through you. Bear in mind, dear hearts, that labor must be needed, and firmness and resoluteness to the truth. Let no human consciousness sway you from the path that you embark upon, realizing that the hopes of heaven are to establish this communication in all the purity of consciousness, that the beautiful silent watcher, Immaculata, may within her loving heart feel the boundless joy of knowing that this shall be done in absolute perfection within your holy Christ selves, and that the human shall be kept from acting in this activity in every way by surrounding yourself completely. It is the wish of heaven's sons and of the angelic host that in order to have the purity to be in constant attunement with us, you shall surround yourself with the violet flame of Saint Germain, and shall hold fast to that action, bearing in mind that I am of the blue ray, but it is much easier for me to charge forth the blue ray where the opposite end of the spectrum has been charged forth with its purifying power, so that there are not accumulations to hinder the progress of my light as it bursts from the very sun itself towards the earth with all its accompanying benefits and radiant qualities. Now, beloved, lift up every bit of your consciousness towards the light. Shed the human cocoon and feel the radiant qualities of the threefold flame as it expands from your heart, and behold this light which I am. Oh, how protection is needed, and I have charged it forth. And now, because this is an action of cooperation between the angelic hosts and between the ascended masters, I shall stand aside with my blessing and my love for one who would speak a few gentle words to you. I present my beloved brother in the light, whose radiant qualities are high into the realm of the Elohim, the beloved tranquility. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. We of the Elohim are ever happy to just be a quality that belongs to the Father of life. The fires of God's love have long since burned any discontent or any quality of shadow from our life streams. We are alone one in the radiant light. We have externalized the qualities which we are. The quality of peace is a living thing, and it is only fitting that as you have the protection of Lord Michael, you should have the enshrining of my peace surrounding you at every moment of the way. It cannot be promised to you that you shall not, because you are yet unascended beings, feel the lash at times of conditions which might seem to be an attempt to rob you of the quality of peace. But I ask you at that moment to lift up your eyes to the zenith of heaven and visualize a beautiful golden orb at the very zenith of the sky, and call forth to your own beloved mighty I am present, saying, Beloved mighty presence of God which I am in me, and beloved tranquility, from the zenith of the heavens pour out the radiant golden oil of peace to every horizon in my world. Fill it and the worlds of all mankind with such a effulgent light and love that any other quality of dissonance cannot manifest. And the Master's command, which he gave to the Sea of Galilee, will be recognized as issuing from me as the representative of the quality of peace in the name of God. I am tranquility, evermore, evermore, evermore. Peace abide with you always. beloved ladies and gentlemen. There are those who cannot find it in their consciousness at this particular time to realize what an ascended master can feel for his chelas. This is not something that you should feel is a quality less than light, for these souls have not yet reached that point where they are able to realize and understand the meaning of an ascended being. Truly, they must look at life through the lens of their own consciousness. I am he who originally appeared to the beloved Daddy and offered him the cup of pure liquid light. I offer you too in this day to drink of the cup of liquid love. Love is the greatest quality that there is in the universe, because it represents all of the givingness of God. It represents His life poured out without limit. It represents His hope poured out without limit. It represents His faith in His spoken word to go forth and to accomplish His own purposes. The purpose for your being, the purpose for this activity, is to fulfill God's will in ceremony, in worship, and in externalizing the beautiful quality of love. You must hold up the cup of your life. You must hold it high. And you must be constant. And you must be courteous. And you must try to possess the qualities which I would externalize through you. Dear hearts, if you knew the suffering which I passed through in previous embodiments, it would probably help you to realize by comparison how some of your own might even seem less. But I assure you, I will not stir up the memories of unpleasantness at this time or at any other time merely to satisfy or to make a point. For it is my will that each one of you should externalize the gracious qualities which God has, the qualities of graciousness to one another, the qualities of courtesy, the qualities of order and beauty made manifest in your worlds. There are those who will say that this is not easy, but that is because they have not tried, and because when trying they have not attuned with me, neither have they used the violet fire of freedom's flame to burn out of their world the various causes and cores of distress which prevent that very self-same order from manifesting. When I was at the court of France, there were many who looked upon me as merely one who found favor with the king. Little did they realize that I had found favor with the king, but the king was the King of heaven. The mighty presence of God which I am was the one who favored me, because I favored him by the giving of my heart and the giving of my life and the giving of my energies to externalizing the qualities of goodness among men. I worked during the Dark Ages, when darkness covered the very earth until you could almost cut it with a knife. It was a comparable darkness in a spiritual sense to the very darkness that was over the land of Egypt during the plagues of Moses. And I assure you that in spite of all the contagion and contamination today, you still are living in a more enlightened world because of the Liberty Bell, because of the Declaration of Independence, because of the Constitution of the United States, because of the Magna Carta, because of all the various advancements that have been made. You are living in a more enlightened era. The work that we must do is the work with individuals. I assure you at this time that there are, even in the periphery of your aura, a large number of people in current distress who could find help through the application of the violet fire and the teaching of the law. There are many people who are confused. They are confused in regard to religious and spiritual matters because things have not been made clear to them. It shall be your duty in this activity to apply and to make your application to me and to the beloved El Morya, that we may charge into your worlds a complete understanding which we have, that shall make it possible, using the energies of your life stream, to make these various mooted points clear to mankind and to help abolish confusion, just as it was my duty to help externalize the Declaration of Independence and to enshrine the freedom flame. So it shall be your duty to bring this freedom flame into manifestation in the spiritual world and to help teach the law of God, that the light of God may shine unhampered through the darkness of human creations and miscreations. You have heard the address of the great Archangel Michael. You have heard the address of the Elohim of peace, tranquility, and you have heard my greeting. And I assure you, ladies and gentlemen of Heaven's Court, and ascended masters in the light who are present here this afternoon, that it is really a joy to me to be able to speak to you with courtliness and grace, because I shall expect that you shall externalize that same love. Do you know that as I walked across the sands with the beloved Mary, I often reached one arm around her shoulder with the very greatest of tenderness? Today, there are many arms reached around shoulders, but it is with an entirely different feeling, for mankind do not have that grace today made manifest in the average man or woman, the grace of heaven, the proper love for womankind. They have been deluded by the delusions of sex and the phantasmagorias of human creation. Magazines and articles and various channels of the dissemination of wisdom have been misused to cause mankind to look upon their body in a different manner in which the ancient Greeks looked upon it. For in ancient Greece, the beloved El Morya tried to shed his light that they might have a very wonderful civilization to externalize perfection in their outer bodies and beauty. Man's consciousness today has turned away from a realization of beauty. But there are many hearts that are seeking this same beauty and love. In the words of the beloved Jesus, I say to you, beloved Francis, feed my sheep, feed my sheep, feed my sheep. I, Saint Germain, have spoken, and I bless you now with the effulgent cup of light and love. The Godling will smile his happiness upon you, Francis, and your cares shall be lifted. I realize that these days have been hard and the nights have been long. I know, too, about your sight. I am aware of much. Obey the command of the Elohim of peace, tranquility, and lift your eyes daily toward the sun of the heavens, and charge the quality of the golden oil of peace into your orbs, and it may be that we shall be able to do something to remove from the retina of your eyes the hindering qualities. Do this faithfully, make the application, and we shall charge into your world, through the oil of peace and the radiation of tranquility, the qualities that shall help to clear up the mirror of light which forms your eye. You must make this application, you must do the work, and we shall do our part. Be at peace, dear heart. Be at peace. Always be at peace. Comfort, beautiful presence, manifest your radiant head in the center of this activity. I, who spread the wings of the Holy Spirit across the entire world, find great comfort myself in being able to speak to you this afternoon with the full radiance of my light, knowing your love for the Holy Spirit and the God which is within you, which is the living, mighty I Am presence of all life. O threefold flame, externalize your consciousness in the kingdom of men, that it may become the kingdom of God. Arise and lift up your heads to the light of comfort, to the light of peace. Do not be distressed by the appearance world. The living tongues of flame that sat upon the very heads of the apostles at Pentecost, as I projected them forth in glorious light, are present with you today. Paraclete of light, descend upon these, I pray, in God's name. Illumine and cleave the very skulls that are within them, and open up the very skulls, that the light of God may shine upon the holy place within the center of their head, and cause such an illumination to burst forth that it shall never terminate its action from this time until they make their ascension. Help to heal their distresses. Help to heal all apparent shadows on the path. For we are radiant light. The tongues of living flame should leap at the very place of the skull to find union with the God of all life, the God of all fire, the God of all flame, who is a consuming fire. You will recall that when Moses stood before the burning bush, the voice spoke out of the bush, saying, Take off thy shoes from thy feet, for the place whereupon thou standest is holy ground. You will recall that Moses spoke, saying, Who art thou? And he said, I am that I am. Therefore I say unto you, the I am cosmic fire of life is blazing its power in you today, because you shall form a heart center of a new activity. It is not because the ascended masters would form many activities. It is because it is necessary that we work with various life streams. It is necessary that we have the protection of Lord Michael over this activity. It is necessary that we have the quality of faith charged into it. It is necessary that we have a channel that will open its doors to us and who will not say to us, Enough, you can go no further. We must have a channel that is willing to yield to us, to express the beautiful perfection which is to be externalized in the golden age of Saint Germain. Men spend hours and hours and hours and burn the so-called midnight oil in order to externalize the latest model automobile or the latest creation of their fancy for the Christmas season. I assure you, is it unreasonable that we in our great love, in our great outreach, should expend a great deal of energy to try to externalize beautiful rituals, and beautiful and symbolical statements that shall cause men's hearts to become warm with a love for their own mighty I Am presence, that they will feel the pull of the Spirit and the desire to free themselves from the entangling monsters which they have created in greed. Is it any wonder that we should try again to reach the unascended of mankind? For when God called them forth from the void and gave them the power, and they said, Lo, I am, it was only fitting that they should be the very consciousness which they were at that moment, the consciousness of the I Am, which has life because it has eternal life. It says, I am. And it is only fitting that you should externalize this. It is only fitting that you should externalize a true understanding of the I Am, a true understanding of the violet fire, and a true understanding of the new rituals for the new age, and the new understanding of the ascended masters, in the sense that they are progressively revealing to mankind new light. Do you think it unreasonable, dear hearts, that we could not possibly externalize through the beloved Daddy, through the beloved Mama, through the Bridge to Freedom, all of the knowledge of God, seeing it is infinite? It is not possible that we could externalize through any church, through any religion, through any activity, all of the knowledge of God. But we have given great power to all of these various activities, and we have drawn in life streams to be helped and healed. And now we progressively move on to give more light to mankind. It is very difficult for people who have received a certain limit of knowledge to reach out for more. It seems as if they have lifted up the cup of knowledge and they refuse to expand the cup. And then, because it is pressed down and running over, and because we abhor a waste, we expand a new cup and we pour our same love into it until it is overflowing. Therefore, receive the radiation of pure charity, pure love, and know that the comfort you shall bring life in the future shall be so glorious that you shall rejoice even when you reach your ascension. You shall rejoice in the fact that you had the opportunity, when you were yet unascended, to give of your glorious energies, to give of your faith, to give of your life to unascended mankind and to us of the ascended host, this gracious gift of your love, which you have given and which you will give, that the borders of God's kingdom may be widened and expanded without limit to the four corners of the earth, that the archangels, their archei, the Chohans of the rays, the Elohim, the sun goddesses, and the gods within the sun, and even the children deep in the heart of the earth with Pelur, will all be able to join hands together with the forces of the elements and say, even so, come, Lord Christ, come, evermore come. And then the song of fire will resound in the center heart of every cell, and the radiant light of God shall shine forth in the kingdom of the Father, and the children shall no longer say to one another, know the Lord, for all shall know me from the least to the greatest, as the very flaming life within their heart, the very essence of the Holy Spirit, the whole I Spirit, standing unveiled in its majestic presence as the mighty I Am presence of each cell, the mighty I Am presence of each being, the one supreme light, from whence cometh joy, peace, grace, and the cup of purity, revealed as the immaculate God plan, invincibly protected and all-powerfully active, henceforth, now and forever. Children, I give you my blessing. I expect that you shall be welcome wherever you shall go, as you lift up the light of the Maha Chohan, the Maha Sahib, whom you have addressed, and who now fondly reaches his arms over you in the atmosphere, saying, my children, come home in due time. but bring with you the sheaves of Christ's accomplishment and Christ's victory. I have spoken in my love. March on, children of the heavenly host. March on. Hold your shield of faith high before you. Yes, hold it high. And realize that your hand is indeed in our hand. It is much better that you smile, dear hearts, than that you frown. For after all, the angelic host do externalize the smile of God wherever they go, for they spread the quality of comfort. And I am sure that you also, as the Mahachohan has spoken to you, felt the radiation of his comfort and his love. And now I want you to feel the radiation of my power and my will. Do you know, dear hearts, that the energy that I have charged forth in the various threefold activities is tremendous? Do you know that if you were to add it up, I do not believe this whole planet could contain the tremendous knowledge which I have charged forth. Nevertheless, here I am again at work, and I am somewhat reminded of the work of one of your cartoonists when he externalized the pattern that has amused the children of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And he said, "Ho, ho, ho, to work we go." Once again I say to you, to work we go. And so you must roll up your sleeves. You must forget that which is past, for after all, the past is indeed prologue. But you must recognize that there is a future expanse before you. A future that can be as beautiful as you will to make it. Now if you take a crystal cube of pure light, which has no engravements upon it, and you work upon it, and make mud pies, I assure you that no one shall admire that work. But if you shall take this crystal cube and shall chisel with the energies of your own life streams the beautiful faces of the ascended beings, by doing their will, what you shall externalize shall be indeed made manifest for the eyes of all mankind to behold. You have heard it said of old, a city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. And I assure you that there are from among the various student bodies whom you shall contact any number of various students of various occult groups, and they are able to know the sort of manifestation which you are making. Therefore I urge you, dear hearts, not because I merely take pride in presenting you to the world without blushing, but because of the fact that these souls that you shall reach shall be able to be given great help to their life streams by your help. If they shall accept you in faith, I therefore urge that you shall do the things in your life that shall give no discredit to me or the ascended host. In the past activities, unfortunately, and I shall not dwell upon it, there have been life streams who have thought because they had free will that they could do as they pleased, and so we have said to them, do as you will. But now in this new activity, I assure you, I shall not take you by the coattails and compel you to do this or compel you to do that. But I am reaching out my love to you and telling you that I do expect you to give freely your wills to God. I do not compel you, but I expect you to do it because you have signified to me at inner levels that you are willing to do it. And I have believed you and have secured from Helios and Vesta a grant at great cost for this new activity. I assure you that if you knew, because of certain actions that took place in the previous activity, that it was not as easy to secure the grant for this one. Nevertheless, in the hope of heaven, I have laid down spiritual treasures, of which I will not speak. And I stand today before you wearing my turban and my sash with a smile of hope which is not dimmed by the failures of my chelas in any past actions. I am crystallizing before you the light of the diamond heart in a tremendous power. Each one of these little diamond crystals is triangular in shape, and the blue flame is blazing within it, and it is singing a song to the Creator of all life, saying, "Thy will, O God, is good. Thy will, O God, is good. Thy will, O God, is good." And these blue flames are singing a paean of praise to the Father of life. And the crystal around them is made up of the radiant hopes of mankind as they are assembled. I have taken the spiritual hopes of many from among the unascended and the ascended host, and have with my own hands formed in the air before you the crystal symbol of the diamond heart, made up from the very hopes of life streams, and carrying the radiation of my own heart. I surround this beautiful diamond heart with a larger pattern of my heart as it was externalized by Mary, the mother of Jesus. And I charge into that diamond heart the very qualities from my heart of flesh, not the physical flesh, but the flesh of new birth, the flesh of the living Spirit of God. Oh, my children, it is not fitting that Moria should weep, but I would weep if I thought that it would give you greater efficiency in helping to bring a harvest home with dignity. There are so many who believe that our energies are unlimited, and of course it is so. But I assure you that while we feel no pangs of unpleasantness, that it is hardly fitting that we should constantly pour out our energies with no hope of a return. I call to your attention the parable of the man who buried his talent in the earth in a napkin, saying, "Here, Lord, is that which thou gavest me, receive it back." And he said, "Depart, ye unprofitable servant." I assure you that when I stand before the karmic lords with this great investment of energy, and I am asked what has been the harvest, that if I can offer only that which they have given me as a grant back, in your human levels, you would hang your heads in shame. And so it is not pleasing to those of the ascended host that they should receive no return on their investment. Therefore I urge you to safeguard this action with your very life and be co-partners with us. I know what you have already invested, and I know what you will invest, because you love me and because I love you. Rejoice in the mutuality of our faith. We are partners with God, and as His partners, it is true we cannot fail. Nevertheless, remember, dear hearts, that it is only the outer flesh that is weak. It is only the flesh which is weak. The spirit is indeed willing. O God, give us more spirits. Give us more spirits who are willing. And so, we of the ascended host are this day in your midst, touching upon you in the same place in your heads that the fingers of the Maha Chohan reached, with a special radiation of the will of God. And wherever you go around your life streams for 1,000 feet, there shall pour as little shining diamonds the light of God's will. Realize that as lighthouses for God, you carry this radiation, and try to hold calm your being and the tremendous drives of energy that pour through you. Remember, of course, that I am a first ray man, and I am well aware of the tremendous energies of the first ray. I smile because, of course, there are so many people who, in their blissful ignorance, presume that all of this activity is merely a figment of the human imagination. It is hard for us of the ascended host looking backward to realize exactly the limitations that humankind have. For when you reach our realm and look backward, you see nothing but the limitless glory of God. The past is forgotten. You see the beautiful power of God. You see the will of God. You see its radiant beams and you say, oh, this is easy. And then, as you charge them forth into the human recalcitrant substance, you feel even the sword of life itself bend and give because mankind has solidified the will in the wrong direction. Remember, dear hearts, that the misuse of human will is still possessed with the qualities of God's will, and therefore causes form to be molded in miscreations as well as it could be molded in just creations. And so there is blunted spiritual force upon spiritual force, one a creation of shadow, and the other a creation of light and life. I could speak to you for many hours and tell you many wonderful experiences that we have in the ascended realms. But of course, I realize that your ears could grow weary, but I do not think this afternoon that any of you feel in the slightest bit weary. No. I think that you would rejoice to have me speak to you. But I assure you that there will be other times when the sun of life shall shine forth, and you will rejoice every day to gather these pearls as they come forth fresh from God's hand. String these things, and I should not perhaps call them things, but string these messages or these pearls upon the cord of life in such a manner as to present them beautifully to mankind. Francis, lift up your hands. Oh, dear heart, our friendship is so old, and there are times that I long to reach out and once again, as in the flesh, clasp your hand in friendship. The time will come when that will be possible. In the meantime, hold fast to my hand in spirit. Beloved Crystal, the chalice of life is always the quality of the crystal. Even as Francis externalizes the quality of faith, you shall externalize the quality of love. You shall radiate the quality of love because of the tremendous love you bear for Jesus and the ascended host. And the contact to which I am speaking shall externalize the quality of hope in your activity, because he has been very hopeful and has not always seen the harvest manifest in exactly the manner in which he would. But I assure him also that the future shall hold brighter days, and all of you shall see brighter days as you lift your cup of consciousness up to the mighty presence of God, which I am, and behold the light of God which cannot fail, because it is the life of God, and because it will externalize the will of God regardless of the recalcitrance of substance or any phantasm of the human consciousness or imagination. I assure you that the blazing Son of God is going forth victorious. I hope that the unascended of mankind will put their hand in ours and will climb up this glorious mountain of faith and illumination. I hope that this will come to pass. And I shall do all that is in my power, together with the ascended hosts of light and the children of the great white brotherhood, the sons of the morning and the flame, that this may be so. The archangels, the Archei, the holy mountains, Meru and Himalaya. The axis of the earth shall be straightened, and the work shall be accomplished. It shall be my power, and the power of the ascended host that shall accomplish it. By October, in the year 1958, the 12th, this work shall be accomplished in beauty and in simplicity and in dignity. This shall be done. I have spoken. I have spoken. I have spoken. I adore the light. I adore the light. I adore the light. Lift up your heads to the light. Lift up your heads to the light and praise it. I am Son of the Most High, El Morya Khan, Bondir. Seraphim, cherubim, angelic hosts of heaven, children of men, beloved Saint Germain, beloved Brother El Morya, members of the ascended host. An invocation. In all systems of worlds, in all space, radiant fire beings, turn your attention to the great central sun, the magnificent glory of Alpha and Omega. Turn your attention to the source. Turn your attention to the center of your being. All life, turn your attention to the center of your being. Behold the love of Alpha and Omega. I, Gautama, Lord of the world, joyously call the children of earth to be conscious of the great light from the great central sun. This light, which is so high and so holy, is not easily bridged by an unascended being. But I say to you now, make the effort. Make the effort to reach even that light. For it is by constancy and application, it is by doing and believing, that you shall attain the same liberation which it has been my joy to receive from the very heart of God. Men call me Gautama, and so I am. I unfolded my Buddhahood under the grace of Almighty God in the East, not in the West. But I assure you that in the days to come, there shall be many sons in the West who shall unfold their Buddhahood and shall come to the realization of the oneness of God, even as I am. Receive the fire of Alpha and Omega. Let it charge through your beings, and charge through your consciousness, and bring forth the fire of Almighty God in such a way that you shall not cease and desist from the day that you begin, to be constant in your application, to be constant in your efforts, until the very voice of God from within the hearts of all three of you, and even the smallest student, shall we say, in the student body, shall turn its heart to that great mighty presence of God which I am, and say, Beloved Father of light and life, it is finished. And now, because the race is begun, not won, I give you my blessing at the beginning of the race, knowing that you love me as I love you, And I ask you to hold fast to this unconditioned love and be not moved by anything in the appearance world, and I assure you that the hands of all the ascended host shall clasp a common cup and drink of the liquid light and life of God in the kingdom of beauty and truth, where peace and tranquility exist in the true and only living nirvana, the very heart presence of God in the great central sun, where all life shall rejoice in joy forevermore in externalizing and holding fast the beauty of life as it chooses to externalize itself, to draw in its breath and to expand, to draw in its breath and to expand, to create patterns of perfection and beauty and glory, that the light may shine in the crystal in the mist, and that the beauty may be revealed, and that life eternal shall be life beautiful. I am beauty personified in your world. I am the beauty of earth. I, Gautama, as Lord of the world, embody the qualities of the beauty of God. Behold this beautiful God. Behold it Immaculata, and externalize it, my children, today, if you will. In closing the addresses of the ascended host, I wish in this new activity to have my voice heard. For there are those who would call me one who has come lately to the ascended host. I am now one of the sons of light. I am now one of the radiant beings who have ascended in the light of God that cannot fail. But how few years ago I sat among you and led you in your decree work in the I Am movement, and gave my benedictions and the peace of my life stream and my energies to you. Do you see, therefore, how that it shall not be too long, if it were 100 years, before you all would sit also at the same table that I now sit at, supping with the ascended host. Therefore, dear hearts, do not be weary. Do not be weary. For when the time comes for your ascension, you will find that as wax drops from a candle, you will rise into the most beautiful and glorious world that God has ever created. I assure you that the pains and suffering of the outer self will not only be completely melted away, but the very energies you wasted in even feeling sorry sometimes, as I did, for the various sufferings through which I passed, will be changed by the God self and charged back into the children of earth to try to give help to them and freedom to them, so that they may join the very light and life which we are. And now I want to say to you, Francis, do not be afraid in any way, in anything that you are doing for the light. Remember that God is I Am, and because He is I Am, it does not matter in which way you shall externalize Him, as long as you give your adoration to your own mighty I Am presence and shall work for the ascended host. The outer name of the activity means nothing, because it is the light of God itself that cannot fail, and it is the light of God which we are. Therefore, dear Francis, I who have been your friend and held your hand many times in the earth life, say to you that we shall meet in heaven, and we shall once again hold our hand as ascended beings, and you then shall say to me, beloved Daddy, for by that name you called me. I am most grateful for that afternoon when the contact who was willing to serve us gave me that message, and you will rejoice at that moment and say that afternoon was an afternoon of great joy and service to me, because it was after a very dark night in which I had spent much effort in uncertainty and doubt. And now you will lift your head to rejoice, because you know now that all is well in the light of God, and you know that all sorrow and all tears shall be wiped away from their eyes, is not an empty statement of heaven, but is a statement that bears fulfillment and which you will witness. Therefore, hold fast to the qualities of the Godling, the God of happiness, and let your new activity be a happy activity, for truly the years shall roll swiftly by, and its completion shall be a thing of beauty if you will all get together and give of your energies and your time and hold your attunement high. And you will then reunite with us, and you will bring behind you trailing clouds of glory, as the poet said, from among the unascended of mankind, a large number of life streams who will be able to make their ascension much more quickly because of the light that came through all three activities, bearing in mind that the capstone at the top of the pyramid must have its place, even as the lowest stone in the pyramid must be the foundation upon which it is builded. And now, Francis, I bid you good afternoon with all the sweetness of our old friendship, and to you who are present at this meeting of your board, know that the ascended hosts stand even almost like at a football field where there are bleachers. And we sit around you and we watch your activity with hope, and we smile upon your endeavors, because we know that you are the best hope that heaven has at this time, and we know that you freely give what you give. And of course, as the woman once gave the penny in the days of the great Master Jesus, which he said was more than they all had given, so because you have given that which you have, it is acceptable to we of the hosts of heaven, and we rejoice together. It was thought well by the Karmic Board that I should conclude the addresses this afternoon, because of the fact that as you begun with me, you shall end with me. I am the light of God which cannot fail. I am the light of God which cannot fail, and the ascended masters are that light, and you are the light of God which cannot fail as you externalize that light in your own mighty I am presence, which I now charge forth. Peace, be still.